Health Union Nehawu has accused Labour Minister Thulas Nxesi of putting the lives of frontline workers at risk. Nehawu accuses the minister of failing to enforce occupational safety compliance regulations since the outbreak of COVID-19. Also, it says workplaces have not been inspected. Joining us now to discuss these complaints is Nehawu's spokesperson, Kaya Kaba. Kaya, good evening and thank you very much for your time tonight. Strong words, incompetent and arrogant is how you describe the minister, also calling him ignorant.
We believe that the minister is incompetent, and on top of the incompetence, it is mixed with arrogance. And arrogance and incompetence are like paraffin and matches. They just don't mix. It's a disaster that comes after that. Well, we've known that ever since he was at Public Works, where he was also incompetent. But on this one, we believe that many healthcare workers have been infected because the department has been unable to inspect these workplaces to see whether they comply with the OHS Act. One of the issues that we've been really highlighting as the union is that most workplaces don't comply with the law, especially on ensuring that they have health and safety committees that look into the issue of compliance. And the department has that responsibility to look into that. And when we confronted the minister about that, he said his department is not responsible for that. In fact, he was so naive that he thought that he was responsible for checking or inspecting his own department or the people who work inside his department. So we believe that his incompetence has really contributed in the high numbers of workers who have been infected with COVID-19 ever since its outbreak in March in the country. And many workers have lost their life in that regard. So we're really calling for him to really focus and really ensure that he knows what he's doing, because this is life, it's a matter of life and death. And many people have also lost their breadwinners. We've lost many heroes and heroines who are in the forefront of fighting the coronavirus for the country.
So, I mean, the minister pushes back at your allegations that doesn't know the scope of his work. He says, how would he have drafted directives and regulations during this COVID-19, reflecting all the oversight work that needs to be done and that needs to be conducted by each government department, including the prohibition notices that were served on the Free Frere Hospital in the Eastern Cape, saying if we didn't know the extent of our work, how could we have done all that?
Well, we're responding to that because we've seen the statement which was released later this evening. And of course, we'll then provide information and proof that the minister is trying to save his skin, because he realizes that he has not been able to protect workers. And of course, because we're meeting with the president on Friday, we've said in our statement that we're going to raise these issues with the president so that the president can be able to offer some relief in this regard. But having said that, we had met with the minister and the DG on the 22nd of September, and these issues were put on the table, and the DG made a commitment that they'll look into these issues. Yeah. So there's many cases that we've lost, firstly with at the national level and in the provinces, and we've closed thereof that we've lost these cases, and the department has done nothing to ensure that those workers, those workplaces comply, and that those that are found not to be complying are closed down, and that those who found to be on the wrong side of the law, they force the long arm of the law. That has not happened. So I think we're not going to take this matter lying down by the minister saying that we are misleading the public and the media.
But are you not misleading the public? Did the minister do something in the Frere Hospital in the Eastern Cape? You need to acknowledge where work has been done correctly.
Well, some places, some work has been done, but in majority. So we can't just let the minister run away scot-free just because some 10%, some few hospitals and some few post offices have been closed down. But the majority of workplaces do not comply with the OHS Act. They don't have the health and safety committees, which is something that has been alluded to or admitted by the Minister of Health. So it is the responsibility of that department to ensure that those committees are in place to look into the issue of compliance. So, like I said, we are ready with the information. We're willing to prove that the minister is the one who's misleading the public. So we'll see at the end who's telling the truth and who's not, and we know we'll come up and talk.
Let's talk then about the issue of the inspectors. You and I have spoken numerous times on various platforms about this issue of inspectors, even before COVID, to test for compliance, which have got to do with the Occupational Health Act. Inspectors have got to do with compliance with employment equity targets, for example. And there is a shortage of inspectors, and the minister pointing that out again, saying, well, it is common knowledge, it is known also to Nehawu that we have a shortage of inspectors, and we are in the process of inducting 500 new inspectors now.
Look, also that shows that the incompetence of the minister, in that he is the minister responsible for employment and labor. So they have to make sure that they have enough staff and adequate people to do the inspections. In fact, as Nehawu have always been fighting the issue of understaffing in the public service, to say that most service delivery issues start with the fact that the public service is understaffed. And we've been pushed back by government to say that the public service is bloated. And the outbreak of the coronavirus has exposed the lies by government to say that the public service is bloated. Now, the minister had to make sure that those inspectors were there to ensure that they go into different workplaces to enforce compliance. And none of that has happened, even with the little staff that they have. All the cases that we've lost have been blown away. Yeah. So we believe that nothing much has been done. The minister has not been of good service to workers of this.
And that's the thing. The minister suggesting, and I'm only talking here from his statement, that those kind of allegations are without any foundation. In fact, so are you disputing all these issues? I've raised the Eastern Cape one. He says, KZN, we have sufficient PPE there in stock. There's no complaints that have been received. In fact, he says, Nehawu gave us a list of such outstanding reports, which we are busy following up. He says, Free State, there were no reports received from Nehawu that were not attended to. Gauteng, Nehawu is involved in inspections with us in the province. For example, the clinics group complaints were referred by Nehawu and it was attended to. Western Cape, we have an agreement with COSATU. Northwest, we've held meetings with Nehawu. They're talking to you. From this, it's indicating that you guys are in communication with him, but then you turn around and you call him incompetent and arrogant.
Listen, right now as we speak, all our provinces are preparing a statement to respond to that with the proof and information to rebut all that the minister is saying. On top of that, we had a meeting, like I mentioned, on the 22nd, that was speaking to the issue of fixing these issues. But we believe that what has been an impediment in fixing these issues is the issue of arrogance, because we believe that the minister doesn't take seriously the union, and we find that very abhorrent in the fact that he's a former trade unionist himself. So, like I said once again, and I'll repeat it, we're ready with the information that will prove that all the claims that will lodge in all the different provinces have not been resolved. And we do have the paperwork to prove that. In the case of the Western Cape, we've spoken to COSATU, and they do allude that there's an understanding, but not a formal protocol between COSATU and the department, and how has been processing their claims through COSATU in the Western Cape, and there's proof of that. And the provincial secretary of COSATU in the Western Cape is willing to provide also the proof that Nehawu has been supportive of the process, but nothing has come forth in terms of solutions. So we're not going to take this matter lying down. So that's why we're saying that the minister must bring proof, we must bring proof, and we must see who's been letting workers down.